Animation is its own medium, one that has its own storytelling devices that are near impossible to replicate in other forms. A creator who best embodies this idea and uses these tools to their full abilities is Don Hertzfeldt, an independent American filmmaker who is best known for his animated features such as It's Such a Beautiful Day, Rejected, and World of Tomorrow, all of which boast their own Academy Awards and the latter two holding Oscar nominations. Whilst Hertzfeldt was studying his film studies course at the University of California, he was drawn to animation because of its low costs, because he wouldn't have to spend any money on rolls of films. And through viewing Hertzfeldt's most important films, we can see how he slowly developed a style within this medium, and uses the storytelling devices that are specific to that genre, and in doing so, push animation into bold new places. Hertzfeldt's first work to reach popularity was his 1999 short student film Billy's Balloon, a short that sees a crudely drawn stick-figure child be attacked by a red balloon, a parody of the French film Le Balloon Rogue, which is another short film about a boy befriending a balloon, meaning background knowledge is needed to appreciate the short. The short sees the development of Hertzfeldt's character designs and his dark humor. This reached international popularity and led to many advertising companies offering him jobs, all of which Hertzfeldt denied. The goal isn't to try and make as much money as I possibly can. The goal is to try and make good movies. This approach to consumerism can be seen in many of Hertzfeldt's work, one of these being his couch gag for the popular TV show The Simpsons. The 2-minute couch gag thrusts The Simpsons an unknown amount of time into the future. The segment sees the now mutated cast of The Simpsons uttering their typical catchphrases. Don't have cow, man! Various advertisements can be seen around the short, working together to show that The Simpsons has lost all sense of structure and central ideas because of consumerism. This purposeful critique on consumerism can be seen again in his character designs, which stand in stark contrast against the character designs and ideas of Disney. Instead of having fully coloured art with straight lines and ideas regarding safety, Hertzfeldt instead mostly uses black and white imagery paired with wavering line work and cynical musings. This subversion can be seen again in his 2015 short World of Tomorrow, where Hertzfeldt goes against what popular contemporary Disney viewing audiences would expect.
In 60 days from now, a meteor will strike the Earth and most everyone here will die horribly. Our wealthiest individuals are now uploading their digital consciousnesses into cubes that they are launching into deep space. Our lower classes are desperately trying to escape the meteor through discount time travel, causing untold millions to die in orbit. Their dead bodies burn as they return to Earth and now light up our night sky.
Hertzfeldt's short experiences with the advertising world can be viewed as the seed for his award-winning short Rejected, which is based off an idea Hertzfeldt had, where he would make the worst cartoons possible for an advertising company and then run off with all the money. Although Hertzfeldt never followed through with this idea. Rejected has 4 different segments of 4 different cartoons made for fictional companies. The short sees Hertzfeldt's crude humour, which through looking through a modern lens, the short admittedly falls flat with its comedy for me.
My spoon is too big.
Which renders the majority of the short hard to watch due to how much the short relies on comedy. Anyway, the short continues showing the crude cartoons until the fictional character becomes so upset over all his ads being rejected that the cartoon world begins to literally fall apart. The final shot is a distorted look at the fictional main character as he begins to scream in anger. And then the short abruptly ends. At first glance it appears that the fictional creator serves as an analog for Hertzfeldt, but because of Hertzfeldt never actually working with advertising, this is untrue. The short was originally distributed through YouTube in the early 2000s, which because of YouTube's videos being able to shared around easily, allowed Hertzfeldt to receive popularity and a dedicated cult following. Hertzfeldt's short began to affect the YouTube landscape and deeply influenced the comedy that can see many viral YouTube videos, such as the ASDF movies of the mid-2000s, which contains jokes reminiscent of Hertzfeldt's work. This effect can be seen developing outside of YouTube, where Comedy Central, a popular television network, stated that Hertzfeldt has influenced an entire generation of filmmakers. However, because of Hertzfeldt's lack of ability to make money on YouTube for a while, Hertzfeldt would have to stick to the tools he had, which was just pen and paper, and had since become synonymous with Hertzfeldt's style. His most important film, and my personal favourite of his, is It's Such a Beautiful Day, and was the film that got me into Hertzfeldt's work. I think I was drawn to this movie because the way it had been described to me and the way it had been compared to my favourite TV show that had recently ended, BoJack Horseman. The film sees Bill, a man who has some sort of memory disorder, and him trying to navigate his failing mental state. Hertzfeldt lifted this idea from a story he had previously heard. It began in a World War II story I read about Nazis invading a town. The protagonist is in a large group of people who are being marched through the city and across a bridge where they're going to be shot. The man has lived in this town his entire life, but as he's being marched up to die, he notices details in the cobblestone streets he's never seen before. It takes a horrible event sometimes to grab you by the shoulders and shake you to wake you up. It's Such a Beautiful Day is Hertzfeldt's effortless blend of his dark humor and his serious, dark, philosophical musings. This juxtaposition of jokes and thoughtful ideas creates a sort of melancholic feel, which Hertzfeldt since carried over to his other works. The film also sees Hertzfeldt using various storytelling devices that are specific to film and animation. He makes the audience view Bill through a keyhole-like lens, which makes the audience feel as though they're intruding on Bill's personal thoughts, but it also creates a clashing sense of intimacy with Bill, allowing the audience to like the character. The film is written in a way where the audience feels as though they're floating through Bill's mind, and looking at his memories in a non-chronological order. When asked about his approach to writing stories, Hertzfeldt said, "It's like you're floating in an ocean and you want to build a raft. So you just float there and you wait and wait, and eventually this little piece of something comes drifting by, maybe a memory, and you hang on to it, and then another little piece comes around, and with all these parts you gathered up, you now have enough stuff to build a raft." After Hertzfeldt released It's Such a Beautiful Day, he was greeted with a flood of praise. His film ranks him on many lists of the best films of the decade and even the century, with scoring 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 92% audience score. After Hertzfeldt received all his critical acclaim, he went from releasing shorts and films in small theaters to releasing on the on-demand streaming service Vimeo. On Vimeo, I have the nice ability to seamlessly replace the existing stream with improved ones over time. As a side effect, in a weird way, I've actually kinda grown to like the limitations of the 30-day viewing period. It's long enough to rewatch a film and get more out of it, but it's sure enough to know that your time will eventually end and the film will be gone. Hertzfeldt's change to Vimeo coincides with him developing his style further. In World of Tomorrow, we see Hertzfeldt switch to a mixed medium for his animation, a combination of digital art and hand-drawn art. His signature feel of melancholy is present within the film, but is also paired with ideas about what it means to be human. Throughout all of Hertzfeldt's work, we can see him develop his own style, and you can even argue that he's been pushing animation into new, unknown territories. With Hertzfeldt having 2 new films on the way, World of Tomorrow Episode 3 and Antarctica, with Hertzfeldt adopting an entire team for the animation of the latter film, both of which were supposedly be released on Vimeo. The work of Hertzfeldt, as much as they are about a story, they are just as much about how a story is told, and there is no doubt in my mind that Hertzfeldt will use this idea to continue pushing the limits of stories for years to come.